All right, so I want to go through some more of these pictures. So here's a picture with Sam and John Sirocco.
Yeah. Don't know who's Johnson Rocco?
Yeah.
No. Doesn't ring a bell, no.
All right.
No. Yeah.
And this was one of Sam's younger students. I know his name was Robert. I don't remember his last name. Jenkins or something like that?
Yeah.
Right, Caryn? Jenkinson, something like that. So yeah, Sam was always proud of him, and I would bump into him every now and then. Like he'd come in before or after me, so I would see him by Sam's, every now and then. It's a good picture with Sam with Robert.
Yeah.
Have you spoken to him at all, Caryn? Did you keep in touch with him?
I'm writing his name down now.
Yeah, I kind of lost touch with him after that.
Surprised that we don't have more people on that page. You know, you would have thought that after he would be searching in Facebook.
Yeah.
I've had to reach out to most people.
I think he was going to college or something back then, so he's probably done with all that by now, you know. Okay, so let's move on. And here's a picture of me and my father with Sam.
Oh, yeah.
There you go, Dad.
Let's see.
Playing.
Two young, handsome guys there. Look at that.
Guys are nuts.
Neither of them are wearing masks, though. You notice that?
Yes. Thank God. Good old days.
All this.
There's a picture of us with Sam. There you go, Dad. There's another picture with the band and John Sirocco, with Sam singing on this one.
Oh.
It looks like he's singing. Maybe he's speaking. I'm not sure.
But I was thinking of that the other day. I'm doing some work in the house. So you're doing work, your mind wanders as you're doing this minutia work. And I was thinking that Sam sang. He would sing songs.
He
That would
did.
help him keeping time, beat. Sam sang also. He sang. He's a song and dance man as well.
Well, he had like a whole album of songs he sang too. I think I have that somewhere. All right, what else do I have here? Here's another picture with Sam playing.
Michelle.
Michelle, right? That's her name. There's a picture with the band. This was that bar like on 23rd Street or whatever, I think.
Yeah, 4 in the morning.
All right, there's another solo shot of Sam. What else do I have? And I really wanted to show this to Diana. This is a good shot of her singing with Sam.
Oh, yeah.
She's not going to make it today?
I messaged her. She gets confused with teaching stuff she has to do and timing.
Yeah, she's probably still teaching now, right?
I don't know what she.
I got to send this to her because it's a pretty good picture.
Yeah.
She'd probably love that.
All right, then, listen, we're going to have to go, then. We've been called inside.
For one of them, you know.
And those foldies also seems, I don't remember the dates, but that seems like that was at the very end also.
It was.
Right?
I started studying with Sam after the Modern Drummer Festival in 2011. I met him there.
Right.
I heard of Sam, but I didn't know he was still teaching or whatever. So I met him there, and then about a month later, I called him up and we set it up. So around November of 2011, I studied with him right until the end. So he started writing those. He was already in the process of writing those when I started studying with him. So I just bought them as I would go along. You know, maybe every lesson I would pick one up here and there. I ended up getting about 20. I didn't realize I had that many.
Yeah.
And I brought them all up here to Connecticut just to maybe practice one day, and never thought it'd come into use for something like this. Because most of my library is Sam's books. That's all down in Brooklyn. I'm very limited on the stuff I have up here. It is.
Right. It looks like because he did them all, you know, from 43rd Street, and these were all excerpts, or from what I'm seeing, are all excerpts from books he'd already published. So it was like maybe when he came up with this idea, it was a way to introduce his material to new people in a single sheet. Because then the way he's writing around the edges, you know what I mean? With all the kinds of things he would have done in a big book, he figured, well, now I can do them one at a time, and you fold it up and you carry it with you for inspiration. So
exactly,
he was working right to the very end.
He really was, and I I had a bunch of these, and I didn't really know what to use, and I haven't really practiced these. So I'm like, what's going to be good to do with a group? And this one was called a double foldy, which I don't get. I mean, they're all on both sides, but I wanted to share this one with you guys because he wrote a lot of stuff on this one that would be interesting for you to read, and just like different things Sam would always say. So I wanted to share that with you guys because the other ones that I have didn't really have all that stuff written on it. You know, so yeah, it's got some of his words of wisdom written all over on the bottom, on the sides there. So
yes, he does.
I hope you guys could read some of that. That's why I tried to take pictures of this carefully so you can read them.
But it was like he was doing the concepts from all his books or his magazines. I'm going through, I went upstate yesterday to my garage, and I I decided it's time to clear out all the old things. And one of them is I've got all the old Drum Worlds, which is when I was studying with him. So.
Drum World? Oh, the magazine. Oh, wow. So
I haven't gone through everything yet, so I don't know what, this is like, he would number them. So I think I'm sure, I was studying with him during this period, so I know I've got them all. I don't know if I kept them all, but I've got like, I found 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 10, and then he came out with, after that, Skins came out. Anybody see this one before?
No, I've never seen that.
And he was like starting like a club, a drum clinic club, and then he was doing a teachers only club or newsletter or something. So I'm going to read through all these and copy anything that I want to, scan anything that I want to keep in this. So if anybody wants some of these, I know I'm going to have a lot of old stuff that I want to get rid of, and I want to share them before they fall apart because you can only save this stuff so long. So I will offer these up at some point, but I want to go through them first. But there's a lot of, when you think he did one of those a month, and they're pretty thick. I mean, they're like 20, 30, 40 pages long. I mean, a lot of it's repetitious and there's a lot of ads, but when you look through the whole thing, you just get this whole, everything that we all learned from him all in one like newspaper. You know what I mean? He'd have the reading things, he'd have all his discussion points, he'd have his arguments. He was also doing news on who was playing where, and he'd occasionally have a story about someone else. And then ads from things that were not related to him so much, but other interesting, like the Hank Levy play-along records, which I don't know if either of you saw those, but that's where Whiplash came from. Whiplash. To me, the further you go back, the more in depth you get with him. You really get everything. By the time we're running into him, it's a little bit later, and he's not as complete as he was back then. But I mean, there's so much stuff that he was doing all at once, and this would be every month, and and plus he was playing 6 nights a week at this point. This is mid 70s. So he's probably in his late 50s, early 60s. And I mean, talk about prolific period and the energy he had. Have either of you seen the, there's a video that's floating around of him giving a lesson at Terminal, or maybe Alex Music, to someone who was walking in shopping for something, and he's doing one of his demonstrations on the countertop.
No.
It's really great. You got it. I don't know how you'd search it, but just look up, Sam Ulano at Alex Music, and it's him giving his fast sales pitch to someone about why it's important to read, and he's got his metal sticks in the pad, and he's at his most fluent and strongest point. So again, mid 70s, and he's talking a mile a minute and playing. He's wailing. He really at his sharpest point. You know what I mean? It's almost like the video is speeded up, but it isn't. I've forgotten how fast he talked and how much information he could get out so quickly.
Wow. Someone had a video of that back then?
Well, yeah, that's true. That's the other thing, is someone's videotaping that. So now Alex Music, when did he do that? That was probably the early 80s or the mid 80s. So this is when video cameras are starting, it's probably somebody with a fairly big video camera,
Yeah.
but it wasn't definitely not on a phone. But it's pretty clear, and it's a fairly long. It's like 4 or 5 minutes. It's pretty good.
Wow. Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to check that out.
One thing I'm trying to find out is, so Jim Chapin's, advanced techniques for the modern drummer also has a 1948 date. That Sam's Bass Bops 1 has 1948. So I'm trying to find out which came first, the chicken or the egg. 'Cause
Ooh.
that's
I think Bass Bops. Sam would say that he came out with that first.
Well, Dennis, in that page, the explanation of Bass Bops 2,
right.
I didn't print that out, but I read it. Didn't he say the year that he wrote those? Because I remember him. I thought 17. Then he said he did it at 15 and didn't get it published till he was 18 or something.
48, the same year as Advanced Techniques.
But that's when it's copywritten. So that he said he wrote them when he was younger. Probably took him a while to get that book out.
Yeah.
What is it? Do you remember, Dennis? Do you have it handy there?
Yeah, I do. So what it says, he published Bass Bops after I came out of the armed service band about 20 years ago.
Okay, so he published it after he came out of the Army, and that would be 48.
Yeah.
So he told me he wrote it when he was studying with a classical snare drummer whose name escapes me, and he maybe have even written it before then. So he was writing it at like 15, 16, 17.
That's what it says. Yeah. In the first part, when I was 15 years old, I had desire to write drum studies. I noticed that there had not been material that would help drummers play in a drum set. So that's when he started assembling the material. Yeah.
Yep. So he's consistent. That's what he told me. He was 15. Because I'm thinking that doesn't line up with 1948, but it takes a while to get things published. So.
Right, and for him to put all that together. Yeah, so he probably started writing that way before then.
Yep.
And he said he didn't. The material in 1948 became my first book called Bass Bops.
Right.
Between hand and feet.
He said he used to go see Max Roach, and that was one of his inspirations for doing that book. Was that
really?
Max Roach is really the first noted one to syncopate the bass drum and make it a third voice with the hands. Of course, he took that to his teacher, and the teacher didn't get it. But
Max Roach was like before. All right, everybody ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 and 2 and 5 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 5 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 1 and 2 and 5 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 1 and 4 and 5 and 1 and 2 and 4 and 5 and 1 and 4 and 5 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 1 and 2 and 5 and 1 and 2 and 1 Man,
yeah, Dennis.
I got
I forgot what a good reader you are, and good time.
Thanks.
That was